Yo, welcome back ladies and gentlemen to the YouTube Content Iceberg by Cerulean58. If you missed the last two videos I've made on this colossal iceberg, be sure to go check those out first, links in the description. We've covered half the iceberg thus far, and yet we've so much more to go. Prepare yourselves, boys and girls, there's no coming back from this point onward. It's getting harder to see. The light of the sun is growing dimmer by the moment. Stay close to me. You could be easy to lose yourself should we go any further. Miss Shaye St. John. Starting with an early YouTube legend, Shaye St. John is the love child of Eric Foreigner. In the 1990s, Foreigner was a member of punk bands of the Blood Farmers and Skelligore when he began working on the first Shaye St. John film, Stump Water Salad.
You want to come to see what my little shack looks like? I built it out of rocks and pebbles from the forest. It's to make the stump water salad. Wow. Trina, can you bring my supplies? I think I found a delicious alien. Hickman, I'm absolutely sure I have found the chemicals of the delicious alien. Hickman, what color are the alien chemicals? Oh, I think the breed found the chemical alien.
A bloody salad, okay.
Shaye St. John is a fictional character and art project who appears in a series of surrealist, creepy, and campy short films. These short films are hard to put into exact words. They run the gambit between unnerving, uncanny valley creations that remind me of something out of the 1980s slasher film Tourist Trap, to amusing proto-Adult Swim type of content that bleeds 80s alternative camp in a very interesting fashion.
Shaye? Are you still doing that hand thing? I heard you're doing the hand thing today. God, what is that?
Hood.
Shaye, what is it?
Hood.
You've been doing this for 24/7. Shaye, you've been doing the hand thing all day? Heard you were. Jordan told me you had been doing it on a sleeping bag earlier.
Hood.
This character, Miss Shaye St. John, had apparently had a backstory as well. Eric claimed she was a supermodel disfigured in a car accident, who rebuilt her body with a collection of mannequin parts. While these films were being circulated via DVDs for some time, with the age of the internet, Eric would eventually create his own website dedicated to the character and series, which is a rabbit hole of oddities all to itself, but most importantly, a YouTube channel was created in 2006 titled Elastic Spastic Plastic Fantastic, which was the home to all 56 of the Shaye videos in 2006 to 2007. Here on YouTube is where it became a legend, as several of the channel's videos gained an audience that perhaps Eric had never had before. People genuinely unnerved yet intrigued by the strange collection of videos. Unfortunately, Eric wouldn't be able to enjoy this newfound fame for long, as on February 25th, 2010, he would pass away at the age of 42 at a Palm Springs hospital from alcoholism-induced internal bleeding. A documentary would later be released in 2016 titled Eric and Shaye, which detailed his life story. Eric's films would live on, however, and in many ways, I believe would come to shape quite a few genres of YouTube and internet horror as a whole in its own unique way. Comment section journals. There are several examples on YouTube of someone using a video as their journal of sorts in the comments. One such example is the Elder Scrolls 6 official announcement teaser video, where username Monsieur Dupont has been using the comment section as a logbook, mostly just writing random thoughts and the like, and has over 700 entries thus far. There are other examples. I feel as though the YouTube checkpoint from the earlier tier is another good example of a comment section being used as a journal of sorts, but yeah, not much more to it than that. Tryfg. Similar to the full stop punctuation search term, typing in Tryfg in YouTube's search bar will result in a whole bunch of weird videos like these. YouTube channel Nexpo covered this in detail in a video all of its own, so if you want to know more about this rabbit hole in detail, I'd recommend you go give that video a watch. But as always, the TLDR version is this search term is connected to an elaborate ARG. Of course, you will find a bunch of videos that have nothing to do with the ARG, which is mostly what I just showed you here, because once people knew it was connected to creepy stuff, more people started posting, well, creepy stuff with that search term in the title or their tags. Dude Man 2. Dude Man is a strange one, to put it lightly.
Hey, Dude Man, can I buy these sexy high heels?
No, honey.
Can I buy this red dress?
No, honey.
It's kind of see-through.
No, go watch YouTube or something.
Okay, Dude Man. Holy shit, I'm on YouTube! Right on! Wow, this is really cool. Did you do this, Dude Man?
Yes, honey.
Thanks, Dude Man, this is really awesome. My dude man is really great, even though he didn't let me buy some new clothes today. But he did make these cool videos on YouTube. See you later. Bye.
Hi, Monique. How you doing today?
Hi, dude man. I have a nasty cold today.
How you got a
Yeah.
cold today? Oh, okay. We'll talk later.
dude man.
Here I am at the crappy motel. I'll just have to show you how delightful it is. The safest place for me to be is right here on this table. It's the cleanest by far. Just look at these beds. Who knows what's on these bedspreads? When Dude Man gets here, he's going to rip them off and throw them in a corner. And this is supposed to be a non-smoking room. Then why are there burn holes in the carpet? Well, it looks like there's been lots of parties here. They left a few stains in the rug, and it appears that no one knows how to clean the carpet. Ew. Isn't this great? It's just a dump. Would you like to sleep in this room? I sure don't. I think it's uncomfortable. Just look at the door. Man, there's a crack underneath it, and I think the bugs and the rats gonna come and get me.
As you can see, Dude Man has quite the collection of unusual, almost human-sized stuffed animals. Most of these videos are from 8 to 10 years back by now, and there hasn't been an upload on the channel in over 7 years. It appears there was once a website connected to this channel as well that I'm assuming you could perhaps purchase some of these freaky dolls from him, but it's since been discontinued. Now it's been like a good 4 or 5 years, but I feel as though I remember there being a documentary about people having sex or wanting to have sexual relationships with inanimate objects, and I feel like I remember this guy being on it. If anyone knows what documentary I'm talking about or wants to take the time to look for it, let me know in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure he was on one where there were other individuals that were like interested in dolls of this kind. But all the same though, there isn't much more to it than that. It just seems to be this guy's weird hobby slash fetish. Court K, a truly obscure channel in every sense of the word. Court K only started uploading in late 2020, with their opening video being titled Boom, You Move to the Himalayas, which starts with what I can only assume is some Chinese pop music before transitioning to this image of this woman in the middle of a sun in front of this temple for whatever the fuck this is playing in the background. More interesting, however, is the web address that's found in the description box of the video, a website called plagueclinic.com, which has a rather lengthy page with a psychedelic background which opens with the following paragraph. Quote, "Many people do not have a background in biology, but they still like to be informed, especially when their lives are affected by infectious diseases such as COVID-19 virus. On the other hand, many experts in biology are often overwhelmed by the explosive numbers and or diversification in manifestations of life forms on Earth. As a result of that, people often feel that they are blindfolded and lost in the miniature details of the living world. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm going to show you the incredible, simple approach, the rule of 2 scratch, to help you make sense of the living world." Unquote. The page continues describing this biology theory she has in detail. Details I am not even going to attempt to go into here, but the core of it seems to be talking about how nothing in nature is magic and how you can find the footsteps to every biological variation, which eventually relates to COVID-19, and yeah, I think you kind of get the point. The second video on her channel, titled Boom Himalayas, is almost the same video as the first, except we see her tie a boat down at the start of the video, and the description of the video reads, quote, "Bam! Move to the Himalayas. You can do it. Our health is in crisis. Our society is in crisis. Our planet is in crisis. Our world is calling for heroes. American heroes. Reignite your inner passion. Burn your flame brighter. Don't dim your spirit and never give up. Be a hero." Unquote. The quotes also ends with Ode to the Galaxy, which is written in Chinese. As I look at the channel more, the next 6 videos seem to be mirroring the ideas of their website, along with strange editing and general nonsense. So I began to wonder, is this it? What's going on here? This channel only has 8 videos, and while they are strange, I felt as though I might be missing something. Thus, I dug deeper and found that YouTuber Nick Crowley had actually covered what was once, what I'm assuming, was the original content of the channel, if this one that we're looking at now is even the original, that is. The reason this channel was on the iceberg to begin with. Back as far as February 2020, this channel was host to 3 women who seemed to be reading off a script in a drugged daze. The topics of their videos would run the gambit from everything from health conditions to how to edit videos, Chinese politics, to showcasing their various bacterial infections, which are extremely graphic and of which they claim they got from a spider bite. But it is clear as day that they obtained it through none other than heroin use, via stabbing their arms and legs up with needles. I do not mean this to be mean or rude in any sort of way, but they always look that way as well. The deadly side effects of the drug are clearly having taken a toll on all of the women. Now, in that video, Nick looked into the channel and found that it had connections to a man named Edwin Zong, who was a doctor who specializes in addictive substances. Therefore, he theorized that Zong was perhaps using the promise of drugs to have these 3 girls read his scripts and push his ideas and thoughts on medicine and the like through YouTube. Although this is still just an allegation as far as I was able to find. Though obviously if this was the case, this would be one of the most disturbing channels on all of YouTube for that very reason. Though if that was the reason, I do have a genuine question. Why would he use these women or his patients who are clearly very high and don't seem to be all there even when they are just reading off his scripts as his means of showcasing his theories and ideas? It seems counterproductive because it seems like they are an untrustworthy source on the face of it, but then if someone were to look into it further, it just seems to call attention to itself, doesn't it? Wouldn't his ideas on medicine be at least somewhat more legitimate sounding if it was coming from an actual doctor, which he is? I don't know. It's hard to say. All these disconnected pieces was all I was able to find, however, so perhaps this mystery is in need of more investigation. I believe most of the content that used to be on the Court K channel has since been deleted, although re-uploads exist, so who knows what the truth is at this point. But either way, it's an extremely dark and tragic YouTube rabbit hole that still remains unsolved. MrSleepyPeople. MrSleepyPeople is one of actually many channels that upload videos of what can only be described as knocked out cold, probably drunk, girls, and, well, holy shit, that is so fucking disgusting. Yeah, apparently there is a fetish for opening up women's eyes while they are asleep and either looking at their eyes, touching their eyes, or in some cases even licking their eyeballs. For this reason, the said girl needs to be totally knocked out, or at least in very deep REM sleep. And from there, the disgusting acts can be done. It makes my eyes water looking at this stuff. It's truly repulsive on more than just one level, as not only is the act itself really gross, this is all being done without this woman's consent, as several videos showcase how panicked the person becomes if the girl starts to stir or wake up. It's done without them knowing and is honestly the stuff of nightmares thinking about all the stuff that's going on while they're dead ass asleep. MrSleepyPeople was just one of many of this bizarre corner of YouTube, and one I hope to never look at again. 301 plus views. So I'm not really sure why this one is so low down the list, but basically for those who don't remember or weren't there, I suppose, for some time YouTube used to have this glitch of sorts that when a video blew up really fast, it would reach 301 plus views and just get stuck there for several hours before catching up to where the actual number was. It was kind of like being a part of the notification squad, which, by the way, shout out to you guys and gals, if you caught a brand new video with that number. It was eventually fixed, however, and is no longer an issue on YouTube anymore. The Slamming Door. This is a Polish YouTube channel about a man being haunted by some sort of demon.
Kurwa, jeszcze nie teraz, jak w sobotę. Kurwa mać. No nie było dobry pomysł, żeby tu wrócić. Za chuj.
These clips supposedly showcase an extremely violent haunting, one that has baffled its uploader. The channel hasn't uploaded anything in 5 years, and while I will say the multi-angled cameras on most of these clips gives it some air of authenticity, it does feel like the whole thing is overall pretty fake. But still, even if it is fake, it's still a fairly well made fake. A good short series of haunting videos if you're interested in watching them. MeiAIDS Tapes. MeiAIDS Tapes is an ARG that centers around a man named Kcriss who receives a few items after his father, Gerald's death. Amongst these items are a collection of VHS tapes, which I'll show a few of right now.
is for most people the ultimate mystery.
As you can see, these videos, or at least the first 9, follow around this man in a mask as he stalks, captures, and then tortures this young blonde woman. The disturbing content is also notable for being placed in the middle of other tapes, what could be assumed to be at first glance a simple home movie or recording of films or TV at the time. This is actually fairly clever, as to anyone who started off watching one of the tapes, it would think it was just normal until they got close to the middle of it. Kcriss, the apparent son of Gerald and the one uploading these videos, constantly makes calls to action, asking if his audience knows anything about this footage, and to contact him if the woman in these videos look familiar to them. Later on in the series, Kcriss receives an image with a code that, when deciphered, leads to a different channel called Do Not Continue, with this message addressed to Kcriss. Twists and turns ensue as Kcriss tries to uncover the truth behind these tapes, finding out from his uncle that his father was quite a scary man, yet had left him with a box full of more information. The Do Not Continue channel recording footage of its uploader stalking around Kriss's house and revealing himself to be just as dangerous as the man in these tapes, eventually kidnapping people and killing them in an effort to get Kcriss to destroy the tapes and stop uploading to the channel. There's a lot of promise and interesting ideas here in the first quarter or so of the series, that is. For as good as the build-up and story was to that point as far as enticement goes, what it all builds up to around the midway point of the story, well, I'm just gonna say it really just all falls apart in the landing narratively. In particular, when Kcriss and the Do Not Continue killer meet face to face in what should be a grand confrontation, it's instead...
Where is she? Where is she? Do you speak? Do you talk? I'm here, now what?
You talk too much.
Just give her back.
You think you know everything, don't you?
Is she okay? Is she okay? She's fine. What do you want from me? You kidnapped my girlfriend, you asked me to meet, and then you don't say a goddamn word.
very cheesy, super dumb, and badly acted. Like, it's ultra bad movie bad. So bad and cringe, it actually wraps back around on itself into being fucking amazing. Like, this scene where it's revealed that the mastermind behind this whole mess was actually the uncle that he interviewed earlier in the series, it's magnificent.
Bring your father's face. Well, it's been a long road, but you finally made it to claim your inheritance.
I came here for her. Where is she?
We'll get to that. That's a little bit further down the line, okay? But,
I came here for her. I don't...
Be patient, take a load off, relax.
I'm not staying because I'm not staying.
Alright.
I came here for her. I want to get her. I want to leave.
Let me tell you a little bit of history. You need to know this. I have to pass over the inheritance to you. And you have to kill me.
You guys are so fucked up in the head.
It's balance. It's your inheritance. Don't you want it?
Balance? You guys aren't doing it. You guys are killing innocent young girls because you want to. You guys, how many of you killed since in the 50s and the 60s? This isn't balance. This is...
You know as well as I do there's order and there's chaos. That's the balance.
Yeah. The world will spin whether or not you do what you do or don't do what you do. This isn't...
When I woke up this morning, I knew that I would be giving my life to maintain this balance. I knew that. I'm open to it. I'm ready for it. Whatever it takes to maintain the balance, you have to carry on the legacy.
I love this shitty movie trash so much. Originally, the series existed in the realm of immersion and reality, and ultimately sizzles into sillier, creepypasta stuff that again can be quite fun to watch, but is no longer scary at all, and is more just horror movie junk food. All the same, if any aspect of the series, good or bad, sounds interesting to you, I'd actually still highly recommend it, as it's still a pretty fun ride. Robert Helpmann. Robert Helpmann was a mysterious YouTube channel best known for featuring a dead body wrapped in a garbage bag called Daisy. There's only 10 videos on this channel, and altogether they amount to about 5.5 minutes of content. There's a very slight story going on with it, but overall, there isn't much more to the channel than this. It's just a short bit of effective YouTube horror. Oh, and in case you're wondering, no, it's not a real dead body, by the way. All the same, the idea is there, and the visuals make it all feel filthy, creepy, and overall a bizarre watch late at night. Now, fun fact, Robert Helpmann was accidentally put on this tier twice. However, not to worry, I decided that in its place, I'd give another Mr. Night Owl bonus just for you lovely people, which is GoAnimate Channels. So, you want to hear about a YouTube rabbit hole? I'll give you one I've known about for some time, and to this day, still baffles me. GoAnimate, now known as Void, is an American cloud-based animated video creation platform. GoAnimate provides its users with a library containing tens of thousands of pre-made assets to kind of look like something out of Family Guy, which can be controlled through a drag and drop interface, yada yada yada. That's the program. It's meant mostly for schools and businesses and the like to make quick little animations, though obviously it can be used by anyone. And used it was. If you were to look up right now, GoAnimate on YouTube, you would be greeted by thousands of videos using this program. And what's more, is the majority of them are being based around characters like that of Dora the Explorer and Caillou. This is pretty random on its face, especially given how many views these videos garner, but if you were to watch them enough, you would very quickly come across extremely popular genres of these types of videos. Caillou/Dora gets grounded videos and punishment day videos. These videos consist mostly of Caillou or Dora doing something awful and then getting grounded for it, usually for a very, very long time as seen here.
Caillou and Dora. How dare you sneak off and see the Force Awakens? That is it. You are both grounded for 7, 8, 5, 6, 4, 7, 1, 4, 7, 3, 8, 3, 6, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 1, 5, 7, 2, 5, 2, 1, 9, 3, 2, 8, 8, 1, 2, 9, 1, 0, 9 years. Caillou, go to your room now. Dora, go home right now.
What?
Yeah, pretty weird and random, but where it gets far more alarming are these punishment day videos, which has the parents of these children characters abusing, torturing, and killing their children in various ways, some of which goes on to involve SilentDork's child character, mutilating them, etc.
Caillou,
Ouch, ouch, ouch,
wake
ouch.
up right
Stop
now.
it, Dad, you're
I
hurting
hope
me.
you haven't forgotten about our special day.
Oh crap. I forgot. I have punishment day today. Wah 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 wah.
Yes. That's right. Now get downstairs so that we can get this party going.
Oh no 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 no. Please, Rosie. I don't want to do this.
TBH. I really don't care if you want to or not. Now lay down on the bed of hot coals or you will be getting extra punishments.
Wah 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 wah. Wow, ow 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 ow, it burns. Wah 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 wah. Please no, guys. This is way too far.
Too bad, too sad. Boo-hoo, Caillou.
Wah 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 wah.
Oh my gosh! Oh! Oh!
Dad, you're not serious, are you?
Oh yeah, baby. 9th punishment, chopping you to bits with my lawnmower.
Oh no 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 no.
Stop it, Adam, please no more. Ouch, 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 ouch. Come on, please, 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 please. Ouch, out. No, Adam, please stop torturing me.
These videos, along with others, also seem to involve various fetishes going on full display here, which on its face is already extremely strange and rather disturbing. However, when you take into account that these channels' main audience are children, and that these videos, most likely made by adults or edgy teenagers, inspire children to make content of a similar sort, and they are, or at least were, quite popular it really starts to give off those Elsagate vibes. Except here, it's a lot more blatant, and while some of these channels I came across sort of seem like shitposting, others are far too specific with their torture methods to not be at least a little bit fetishistic in nature. Call it the sad, ugly hunch I have from seeing these types of degenerates talk to one another and the type of content they like to produce in the past, but this shit fits the bill for making my alarm bells go off. Again, some of it might be innocent trolling and or children messing around, but it is all the same extremely bizarre, especially for just how popular it really is. It's a rabbit hole I might consider diving deeper into on a separate video one of these days if you guys would like that, but for now I figured this was a good opportunity to shine a spotlight on a weird side of YouTube that I've yet to see on any of these iceberg charts. COD Black Ops PS3. COD Black Ops PS or PS3 was an official YouTube account for the 2010 Call of Duty Black Ops game. Basically, it would automatically upload 20-second or so clips from players of the game on the PlayStation 3, and there's also a secondary channel called COD Black Ops Xbox which would do the same thing but for Xbox 360 users. The reason this channel is on the iceberg is because it holds the record for the most uploads of any YouTuber ever, that number being over 1 million videos. It's significant in being the first and only channel to ever do that, and while the channel was retired back in 2015, it could still be viewed for some time after, up until November 21st of 2020, when the channel was suddenly terminated for, and I quote, multiple third-party claims of copyright infringement, unquote, which seems rather crazy given how long it was up. All the same though, most people aren't aware of this channel's existence, so it's worth noting. From when the channel uploaded its first video to the last day it posted, there would have been around 600 videos daily to hit that number that it had. Could you imagine being subscribed to that channel? It'd be like playing on nightmare mode difficulty in your subscription box just to find any good content. It's a shame really, even though the content of the channel is pretty fucking worthless in the long scheme of things. It was still all the same a YouTube landmark, and a significant one that is most likely never going to be matched again, or at least not anytime soon. Outside In / Center of YouTube. Outside In is this bizarre video uploaded back in 2011, which is about how mathematicians theorize how you can turn a sphere inside out, which I'll just showcase some of it here.
Yes, that's true.
What's the big deal? Just poke a hole in it and pull it through.
Sure, but the point is to do it without making a hole.
But then it seems impossible.
You're right. You cannot do it with an ordinary sphere, like a basketball. You have to understand the rules of the game. This sphere is made of an abstract elastic material that can stretch and bend and pass through itself. But you cannot rip or puncture this material without destroying it, and you cannot crease it or bend it sharply.
If the surface can pass through itself, what's the problem?
Do you think allowing self-intersections makes it easy? Try it.
I'll push the two halves right through each other.
Be careful. What about that ring around the equator? Remember, you mustn't tear or crease it.
Let me try again.
That's no good either. You're pinching it infinitely tight.
But then there's no way. It's impossible. You'd have to crease or pinch it to turn it inside out.
It is surprising, but watch this.
Is this it? Is this a sphere turning inside out?
You bet. That wasn't easy to follow, was it?
Yeah, it's oddly hypnotizing in how complex the experiment is. It also seems to be something that was on an old 90s VHS tape, and similar to the TIA 777 checkpoint, Outside In is considered by many to be the center of YouTube, as after any long chain of videos, many people claim that the video chain will eventually lead back into this video. There's not much more to the video besides that though. It's just a law of mathematics and 90 90s 3D graphics. Although the two narrators, as many have pointed out, sound a bit like a goddess teaching one of her students on how to manipulate the world around them. To me, it also sounds a little bit like a sensei or a Jedi Master teaching a Padawan or a student, something like that. It's an interesting idea, one that I think I'll ponder upon while the ad break plays. Concluse gameplay. Concluse is an indie atmospheric horror game developed and published by Studio Snowpoint and T. Allen Studios. It's inspired by old horror game series Silent Hill, as well as PS1/PS2 horror in general. What's interesting about this game, however, is it started as an ARG of sorts on the John Martin channel, as he played through the game pretending it was a rare lost PS1 game demo you happened to find. In a similar fashion to the Petscop ARG actually. Though obviously the difference being is that you can actually play this game for free no less, and there's even a sequel that has a demo out that's going to be released within a month or so from this recording. For a while though, the creator kept up the act of pretending it was a real lost PS1 game for some time. It's a pretty interesting marketing strategy as well as a way of presenting your creation to the world, and one that's fun to watch over. I've not played the game myself, but it seems like an interesting romp. Maybe I'll stream it sometime just for fun. David Sartison. David G. Sartison is a channel that from August 18th, 2018 through October 26th of 2019 uploaded several videos daily. The videos consisted of a basic recording of a TV screen, usually on a game show or some sort of news event, and from what looks like to be a hospital room of sorts. It's fairly mundane if extremely random, and a little bit sad if you consider that this person's, just recording stuff from their bedroom. They've got nothing else to do, I suppose, at the moment. But what makes these videos quite a bit darker and far more sad is when you come to understand the man behind the videos. That being David Glenn Sartison, a man who died shortly after his last upload on the channel. Well, as far as I know, information is sparse on exactly what happened to the man. The channel now carries on with the knowledge that these videos were the last year, months, weeks, days of this man's life. The videos themselves are nothing worth noting over in their own right, but it is still quite depressing to me that these mundane videos of what must have been a bedridden man watching shows all alone in his hospital room are all that he did for the last year of his life. Bob Hickman. Sometime around 2016, large swathes of people started receiving text messages from a strange phone number, all of which said what amounted to this phrase, quote, "God entered into my body, like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me," unquote. This same message was also sent to thousands of social media pages, all being sent out by what appeared to be hundreds of duplicate accounts. This, needless to say, gave quite a few people a scare. I imagine the text message in particular would be extra creepy to receive while you were hanging out one late afternoon or night. More than that, strange ads started appearing on YouTube videos, oftentimes very popular ones like those uploaded by PewDiePie, of which featured an odd-looking man who spoke the same opening line of these text and social media messages.
God entered into my body like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me. My name is Bob Hickman. I've got God inside my body right now. My skin feels electric, it vibrates. It feels very hot. I drink about 3 gallons of fountain drink every day. God can move my hands, lips, mouth where I can. God is terrorizing and attacking me. I'm the only person on the planet that's got the Holy Ghost baptism. Nobody will get it until I die, and I think I'm going to be the very last one.
This is Bob Hickman, a man who has noted here believes that he has been baptized and given the gift of the Holy Spirit, and is in fact the only man who has it on earth, which he claims will only be passed on to someone else should he die. which may happen soon because according to him, having this Holy Spirit is an awful experience. He says that God abuses him, cuts him, beats him, warps his mind and dreams, and that he is in constant agony in every sense of the word due to this. He also says that God is able to control your body this way, effectively taking away your free will. It's interesting since often this kind of jargon mumbo jumbo talk is the opening speech of a cult leader, but Bob is unique in that he is almost a lesser person for having had this gift. It's more of a curse, really, one that he claims was given to him due to having $500,000 in the bank, apparently, or something. Seems like if that was the only reason, surely there would be more powerful and rich men to pick, right? Not to mention, but Bob doesn't really look like the I have $500K in my bank account right now type. Maybe I'm misjudging, but who knows? I don't care. Bob has also written several books at this point, which he says are written by Jesus, using his body to compose the works, which is just more of the same shit he says in the videos, but written as though, well, someone who actually believes all this crazy shit would. It's barely legible and feels like an unstopped string of consciousness with no sentence structure or any even passable grammar. I think Jesus might need to take an English course or two. Also, most of these books are like 5 or so pages, but what is interesting about them is that they are also translated into a ton of languages as well, which isn't hard to do when there are only 5 pages or so of content. But he also does this with random accounts from other countries as well, translating his videos and messages into them so that they can perhaps understand him. Oh dear. The irony in that statement. Alright, I know I'm being cheeky, but needless to say, Bob Hickman is a disturbed, possibly mentally ill individual, one who many have legitimately gotten worried about and have contacted authorities over quite a few times at this point, since many of his videos seem to showcase that he is very much a danger to himself and possibly others. Especially since he says God takes over his body. Yeah, it's not a good sign. Bob still uploads to his YouTube channel to this very day and is still spreading his message around. Bob is a perfect showcase of how YouTube can sometimes shine an uncomfortable light on people suffering from a mental illness or at the very least grand delusions, and how that type of person goes about their everyday life as they use YouTube as their creative outlet. Well, not the same. Watching Bob Hickman's videos remind me of the gang stalking videos, which, if you are not aware of, are people who have the delusion that there are a ton of people out to get them, to hurt them, capture them, etc. They often see signs in mundanity, such as one person looking at them for a moment, people wearing a certain color or driving a certain car, etc. It's not pretty, but YouTube can oftentimes be a glorified journal into the minds of those whose grip of reality is grasping, to say the least. Kelli Stapleton. Kelli Stapleton was a YouTube channel that the average everyday viewer is unlikely to come across, but all the same is an extremely common form of YouTube channel, that being a family video archive of sorts. Kelli Stapleton was the mother of Isabel, McEwen, and Ainsley Stapleton, and was married to Matt. The first few videos on the channel are a fairly average affair, from family outings to special events, such as a video of Kelli and her daughter Isabel, or Izzy as the family often calls her, dancing on stage to a routine that took apparently years to practice and get down. Now, what the channel ends up shifting focus to after a long while without uploads is the topic of Izzy's autism, which would be showcased in the following video. This video was titled A Typical Day, showcasing the mother's frustration with Izzy. Now, Izzy faced many challenges as an autistic child, which sadly goes without saying, but perhaps chief among them was actually her mother. Her mother despaired over her autism, placing her in ABA, or Applied Behavioral Analysis, trying to stamp out her autistic traits and tendencies. Now, ABA, particularly Lovis ABA, has been highly criticized by autistic people and their families for how easy it is to turn into abuse. ABA usually focuses on compliance ABA and can be dangerous when the student's feelings, from discomfort to panic, are ignored, or when it is used to suppress all autistic behavior. Izzy was placed on a token system, as is typical in ABA, and in which case she could earn tokens by having quiet hands and feet. Izzy, who had not been violent before, eventually soon began to lash out due to these practices, which is showcased here in this next video. Well, things eventually came to a head when Kelli Stapleton took her daughter camping, saying that they would be making s'mores, which was one of Izzy's favorite snacks. They did just that, making s'more after s'more for a while, until Kelli brought Izzy back into the van that they drove into the area with. She then proceeded to take the 2 charcoal stoves she brought for s'mores and put them in the back seat, filling them with charcoal and lighting them up. Kelli then got into the car with Izzy, and just as the smoke started to fill the car, she rolled up the windows, locked the doors, in an attempt to both murder her troubled child Izzy and commit suicide as well. Kelli's then husband Matt called the police, who luckily rescued them both. Izzy said, "I love you, mommy," before entering a 3-day coma. Both Kelli and Izzy were hospitalized for carbon monoxide poisoning following the incident. This incident made news and destroyed the family. Both of them did eventually recover. Izzy suffered brain damage and remained in a coma for several days. When she awoke, she was able to ask questions, make requests, and smile. Izzy Stapleton recovered in the hospital and was able to return home. Her motor skills have improved, and she has been able to do her schoolwork. Izzy's father stayed with her during the recovery and divorced her mother. Which, speaking of evil bitches getting what they deserve, Kelli Stapleton was sentenced to 10 to 22 years in prison, while Izzy has since had an outpour of care and help to better her life. Kelli Stapleton's channel showcases the hardships of dealing with autism, and perhaps more importantly, showcase the exact wrong attitude, method, and conclusion to the issue. What Kelli did was evil. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. But I want you to remember this entry going forward, as it's an indicator for some particularly dark topics to come. Meatsleep. Meatsleep is a YouTube channel that has quite a story connected to it. Meatsleep has 92 videos to its name, though most of them were taken down but can luckily be watched in chronological order on the Meatsleep archive channel. The premise of Meatsleep is that the whole thing was being run by a serial killer cannibal, one that hid cryptic messages throughout his videos and made videos as an expression of his work, his craft you could say.
I took you and I keep you warm. I feed you. You live here. I give you a home. I give you a place to sleep. I gave you a secret place. Just for you. A place to clean your disgusting body. You live here. I cleaned you. I let you be like a person. You live here. You are ungrateful. You live here.
There are videos of him cooking meats, of him surveying dead bodies, etc. And they can be pretty genuinely unnerving. Of course, the whole thing was just a work of fiction, one that was apparently made by a team of people, which was confirmed via a video titled No More. In that same video, the apparent creators of the channel note why they decided to stop making these videos. It was because people, real psychopathic people, were so bound and determined to find out if these videos were made by a real serial killer that several creators' home addresses were leaked, and said creators were even stalked by some of those who wanted to prove something. And so a fictional series meant to try and fool people into thinking it was real ended up attracting some real, genuine, creepy people.
Ironic.
YouTube was a dating website. This one's pretty self-explanatory. The original idea for YouTube was for it to be a dating website where single people would upload a video introducing themselves and basically saying what they were looking for in a partner. This didn't last long though, as the founders quickly realized that the tech that they had could be used and would more likely be used if it was just a general video sharing website. And so they pivoted, and now we're here. I'm making videos on this website, you're watching them, such as The Circle of Life. Florecita Dreams. Florecita Dreams, or Little Flower Dreams, is a Mexican shitpost channel that uploads everything from random meme videos to meme videos, but some disturbing visuals and shit to go with it. There is no greater meaning to the channel, or anything as far as I could tell. Perhaps my Spanish-speaking viewers could inform me if there's anything else to it besides it, you know, just being kind of a shitpost channel with some creepy videos. All the same though, it is a mostly much more obscure nightmare-fueled channel, which I shall share several videos from to you guys to give you a good taste of what I'm talking about.
Like shackles on your feet, like a halo reverse. I can feel.
Hipótesis: el patrón Selene delgado se ajustará cinéticamente a rostro no humanos usando la constante de cambio físico Tau. Metodología: análisis cinético utilizando el modelado matemático de dos componentes. Resultado: los rostros que mejor se adaptaron al patrón cinético son de personas que no existen.
Chipchan. Chipchan is a Korean woman of indeterminate age who claims to have been implanted with a mind control weapon and also alleges that she's being held hostage by a corrupt police officer known as P. Using various sites, she has been live streaming in her apartment on a daily basis for more than a decade. Chipchan was first found out through 4chan's webcam thread, where the users would search for unsecure live streams for something interesting. Chipchan certainly fit this bill, as she was first seen sleeping in an extremely uncomfortable and strange position. In fact, the webcam first caught attention in the thread because it was thought that she was dead at first. Users became extremely interested in Chipchan, however, once they found her WordPress blog, where she detailed her supposed situation, and how and where the chips are implanted on her, one being at a cartilage bone 3 centimeters off of the ankle bone, and another under her left eyebrow, according to her. There are webcams set up throughout her apartment which she is aware of, likely set up by herself. All her rooms are filled with signs written in Korean. The streams are accompanied by an audio clip where she, in her own voice, informs the viewer about P, the mind control weapon, and her general situation. She spends her time surfing the web and sleeping, often for 12 plus hours at a time. She appears rather unkempt, in a poor health, and extremely lethargic. She's been living this way since at least 1996, and she claims that she cannot leave the apartment due to the chip, which has the ability to make her fall unconscious at the will of the operator. As people learned more and more about the woman, the more people wanted to help her. At one point, the police were even called and visited her house to see if she was really being held captive, though it appears nothing came out of that. And then again, according to her, the story was that a corrupt police officer was the one who held her captive. So, the police coming over might not do anything, at least according to this narrative. Now, some of you might think that perhaps this whole thing is just a joke, maybe an ARG, an art project like all those others. The only problem is, she's been doing this, live streaming herself like this, for over a decade. While an art project can't be fully ruled out, it seems rather unlikely. On the other hand, Chipchan's story seems a bit too crazy to be fully believed either, which has left most just theorizing what the hell is up with Chipchan. Most tend to agree, however, that Chipchan is just very ill, both physically and on some level mentally. Though to what degree is hard to say, since besides her initial story, Chipchan mostly just lives her reclusive life for all the world to see, sleeping at odd times in odd places and spreading the word of her strange predicament. No matter which way you dice it though, Chipchan is an interesting internet mystery and oddity double feature, one that has garnered genuine caring fans for at this point, for better or for worse. Chipchan continues to be watched. SilentDork is the main YouTube channel used for the John is Dead ARG. John is Dead is an alternate reality game set in the world of Ben Drowned, which itself is an old creepypasta story from around 2010 to 2012. The creepypasta revolves around a Majora's Mask cartridge that is haunted by the ghost, if it is indeed a ghost, of a boy named Ben. It would be a lot to cover the whole story in detail here, but what's important to note is how the story had footage to back up its details, as something which elevated it up from your common creepypasta into something that inspired many. Now, the story of John is Dead follows Tyler, a young man who is being pursued by an evil cult known as the Lunar Children. The twisted history of the cult is slowly uncovered as the players work together to discover the truth while keeping Tyler alive in this alternate reality game. So, to be clear, SilentDork is the channel that is connected to the John is Dead ARG, which in and of itself is based around the creepypasta called Ben Drowned. The ARG began around 2015 and spans across 7 arcs apparently, which I will not be covering here. but needless to say, this is a complex story with a ton of elements that perhaps is best experienced for yourself. While normally I would recommend you a channel to go cover this in detail with all the string of events all in an easy to digest format, I'm actually having a hard time finding much about it anywhere. So I'd recommend you go to the John is Dead wiki if you're interested in anything here. And, you know, maybe I might do a video detailing the story of this in the near enough future. Seraphim Simulation. This is the Seraphim Simulation. Now, while many have talked about this video and how it's supposed to represent biblically accurate angels, it turns out its creator just wanted to make an animation that represented his massive trips on DMT. So for once, yes, the dude really was on drugs when he made this. Meesha Booh. Tamisha Ridge was an up-and-coming YouTuber who ran a channel named Meesha Booh. Her channel centered around how to create your own clothes on a budget, as well as general fashion. Unfortunately, however, Tamisha wouldn't be able to pursue her passions for long, as back in 2014, she was found dead at her home. She was found with a fatal gunshot wound in her head. Her 34-year-old ex-boyfriend, Damshello Green, I believe I said that correct, had killed her in cold blood while her kids were still sleeping upstairs. Green would end up getting a 75 years to life sentence for his senseless crime, leaving behind 3 children to go without their mother in his wake. Tamisha was a loving, creative person and a mother, and now her YouTube channel sits as a reminder of that, haunting as it is tragic. So right off the back, this is a Japanese titled channel, which according to DeepL translates to chance meeting. And perhaps it's best you take a look at it for yourself.
こんにちは。バーチャル YouTuber のヌグムです。尼崎に住んでます。はいよ。こんにちは。バーチャル YouTuber のヌグムです。こんにちは。バーチャル YouTuber のヌグムです。
Now most of you are probably thinking, well that's nice, thanks for the nightmares, but what the fuck was I just looking at, Dylan the Night Owl, you rat-eating feathered fuck? Well, it seems that this is a virtual YouTuber that goes by Newgum. Now, due to the language barrier, it's hard for me to discern much from the videos as far as context, or even if there is a larger story of any kind here outside of a creepy mannequin talking to us. Though according to a translated Japanese article from Mogura VR, the first video on the channel, apparently Newgum is saying that he is right behind you. Other than that though, it's mostly just a very creepy channel that is pretty obscure to most English speakers. If you do happen to know anything about this channel or speak Japanese and have any further context to share, please do comment down below and let me know. Olivier de Sagazan. Olivier is a art channel that focuses on what I would describe as body horror, realistic gore, and surrealism.
Rien que toi, cherche-le là-dedans, là, comme ça. Entre tout ça, là, il doit être là. Il doit être là, comme ça. Allez, comme ça. Là, derrière. Voilà, comme ça, cherchez. Allez! Oh!
For those OGs that have been around online for some time, you might be familiar with this video here, which was often associated with the then popular creepypasta Gateway to the Mind. There isn't much else to say about the channel besides that it's a really cool art project with some pretty freaky practical effects. There's something about the strange body amalgamations and the way his effects move and mold that is very hypnotic and visually striking. Elisa Lam Footage. So, for the last entry on this tier, we've got to cover what is one of the most infamous bits of found footage perhaps ever recorded. This is Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old, and this footage comes from the Cecil Hotel, and it's the last bit of footage we ever saw of her before her disappearance. She had been staying at the hotel when she was reported missing at the beginning of the month of February. Her disappearance had been widely reported. Interest had increased 5 days prior to the discovery of the body when the Los Angeles Police Department released a video of the last time she was known to have been seen. On the day of her disappearance, by an elevator security camera in the hotel. In the footage, Lam is seen exiting and re-entering the elevator, talking and gesturing in the hallway outside, and sometimes seemingly to hide within the elevator. The video went viral, as many found the footage unnerving, which is undeniable. Many wondered if there was a paranormal element to the story, or if Lam's bipolar disorder was involved since she had to take medication for just that. However, what makes this footage all the more haunting is when on February 19th, 2019, Elisa Lam's body was recovered from none other than a water tank atop the hotel. Her remains were found by a maintenance worker when they were investigating guest complaints of problems with the water supply and pressure, something which I'm sure will make most anyone sick to their stomach when they realize how many people were drinking water mixed with a corpse. The circumstances of Lam's death when she was found also raised some questions, especially in light of the hotel's history in relation to other notable deaths and murders. Her body was nude, with most of her clothes and personal belongings floating in the water near her. It took the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office 4 months after repeated delays to release the autopsy report, which reports no evidence of physical trauma and states that the manner of death was accidental. However, many wondered how exactly she got into the water tank on the roof in the first place. If it had been suicide, a bipolar episode, or was there perhaps something more sinister, like a murder at play here? Theories arose pertaining to the elevator video, with some arguing that she was attempting to hide from a pursuer, perhaps someone ultimately responsible for her death. And while the cause of death was said to be accidental, the autopsy report and its conclusions were also questioned based on the incomplete information. For instance, it does not say what the result of the hair and fingernail kit were, or even if they were processed. Even the coroner's pathologists appeared appeared to be ambivalent about their conclusion that Lam's death was accidental. Nonetheless, this bizarre story and the video that coincides with it have caught the imagination of many as to what exactly happened and why. The story has also expanded into documentary series, countless YouTube videos, and even video games have taken the story and done something with it. But it is important to remember that a real young woman died that day. No matter where the truth lies in her death though, I think this is a video and a story that will be continued to be discussed and dissected for years to come. This is it. The bottom of the iceberg, the other tip. I'm impressed. You've made it this far with me. We are now touching the limbo space. For below this iceberg is the black vacuous abyss. As dark as it may be now, take solace in being able to rest your hands upon this great chunk of ice. For after this, there is only the void. Wannabe Friends bot. Early to mid 2020, an innocuous looking comment was being spread all around like wildfire through various small YouTubers' comment sections. Wannabe Friends was what the comment consisted of, by username Logan. Though it was not exclusive to that username, the comment was always the same. The comment would often be found as one of the first two comments on any brand new video, and while it might seem at first to be some small YouTuber trying to reach out and connect with other YouTubers, it was in fact a bot. But this bot wasn't like any others of its kind that just spam links or their channels, etc. No, this one was far more malicious and risky. As it turns out, Logan had developed a way to hack people's channels solely by having them subscribe to him. It is even speculated that just responding to the Wannabe Friends comment can result in you losing your channel to him, which he would then use to artificially grow his own YouTube channel by having your channel like and comment on his videos so as to show user interaction and growth. Basically, the bot turned into real YouTube channels into real comment farms to make his channel seem more authentic and increase engagement. And then, more than likely, would then sell off this YouTube channel with all these subscribers to the highest bidder later through websites you can find all over the place. Most likely in a similar hub where you buy bots that will watch, like, and comment on your videos, I guess to try to stimulate growth, which is just sad and pathetic, but is all the same out there for most anyone to buy. Mudahar of Some Ordinary Gamers believes that the hack could be related to the Oath token system, the system that allows you access to platforms through permissions, and it was YouTuber Evans111 that first exposed the security breach to YouTube, which luckily was addressed by YouTube tech support and was able to be taken care of shortly after. Nonetheless, this bot was extremely dangerous for any channel that received it and wasn't aware of what it could do, which certainly makes me take pause when I see very blatant bot comments on any of my videos. Clip 028. So this video was uploaded by the YouTube channel Hero Slayer 5 on November 29th of 2011. It's the only video on the channel, and finding any info about it is rather difficult as far as I could tell, especially since it seemed no one on YouTube had really covered it. In fact, the only time I have ever seen it referenced was through Mudahar's Deepwood Videos series, in which he came across this video on there. So what does this mysterious clip entail? Well, perhaps it's best you take a look for yourself.
Yeah, what if something happened to him? Oh my God. Get in there. Get in there.
It's not up here.
As you can see, this video starts with two guys walking out into this dark forest before a loud scream can be heard. They scream the name Dylan out quite a few times. It would seem someone named Dylan is in grave danger. They eventually come out in the clearing only to find Dylan presumably thrown up on top of a pike, Cannibal Holocaust / Vlad the Impaler style. The two men then run back into the house, only for one of them to be grabbed up from behind. Our camera dude then runs back out into the forest, trips and falls and dies more than likely. Now some of you might be wondering what the hell that clip was all about. Well, I'll tell you right now, the obvious, it's not a real clip of people being murdered. What it is though is a quick little horror video with some pretty good special effects, like that pike kill, and you know, not as much good special effects on the fake blood at the end. It's a pretty creepy video, especially when you're watching it late at night, like I was, and then you hear the name Dylan being screamed out loud. Some have theorized that this clip was originally going to be part of an ARG of some sort that was never finished. And that may be true, though it does stand fairly well on its own without having to be connected to some greater series, just as an obscure creepy clip that I'm sure caught a few of you off guard. Godly Recon. Godly Recon was supposedly a channel from way back in 2006, which started off as a normal enough channel with this girl named Carolyn making your typical vlog type content. However, as time went on, she began talking about how she was apparently being stalked by someone, and at one point has pictures of the front of her house sent to her by said stalker. This all ends with a final video titled Goodbye, which showcased the following. Now, supposedly this last video went viral on YouTube, and it gave YouTube staff quite a scare over if it was serious or not, which led to the channel being taken down shortly after. Now I keep saying supposedly, that it supposedly existed, that it supposedly went viral, because there isn't a lot of evidence towards it actually having existed back in the day, as there have been no videos about it that date any further back than 2016, in which case YouTuber NationSquid first talked about it on a top 10 list, only for Scare Theater to cover it later and look into the topic to find that it seems like this whole channel and scary story associated with it might have been a hoax created by NationSquid as part of some sort of ARG or something like that he was creating at the time. However, this, as far as I know, has not been 100% confirmed, and I have yet to see any sort of update video on the topic whatsoever, or even anyone online period that seems to have found any more info on this from my research. If it were a real channel, then it would more than likely still not be a real video of someone getting kidnapped, but perhaps one of the earliest cases of YouTube horror of its kind ever created. But who knows? For now, we are just left with a skin-crawling, disturbing video and a mystery that we may never fully solve, though if I were to place my bets, I'd say yeah, it's probably just a hoax. Negative likes. So this one's pretty obscure and fairly rare from what I can tell, but there is a bug that can happen on YouTube where someone can gain negative likes or dislikes on a video, or at least there used to be a bug around that. It apparently has something to do with the likes and dislikes needing to be verified. You could trigger this glitch yourself by clicking back and forth on the like and dislike rapidly for a bit, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Negative subclub. Similar to the last one, this is yet another glitch that happens where it appears that you have negative subscribers. This seemed to happen with a few smaller channels that YouTube somehow thought had a bunch of fake subscribers. So many fake subscribers, in fact, that YouTube thought that they had more fake subs than the actual full number of subs that they had altogether, thus giving them negative subscribers. And if you are one of the rare lot to have this unfortunate thing happen to you, you are now part of the exclusive negative subclub. Once again, weird glitch, pretty rare to come across, but not much more to it than that. Harley Dilly. Harley Dilly was a channel run by a kid of the same name, which at first mostly consisted of videos relating to Roblox, Madden, and other random video game gameplay footage that you might find on almost any other kid's YouTube channel. However, the further one looks into the channel, the more disturbing things get as we start to see Harley's home life isn't very good, with what amounted to an abusive and uncaring father and an abusive, downright psychotic mother. There's a video on his channel where you can hear the parents arguing and how Harley's father was going berserk over one of Harley's siblings spilling a glass of water.
My dad's being an asshole right now.
There's also an infamous since deleted livestream titled I'm Scared, in which Harley is recording himself out on his front lawn in the cold, upset because his mother won't let him inside the house and is threatening to call the police on her own son due to a simple disagreement, something which had actually happened 5 times in the past.
Hey guys, what's up? It is Harley Dilly. Probably one of my worst days in my life. So basically, I was at school and I was science test. I finished it and my computer says 1% battery left. So I get to the next class and I put it on charger as quick as possible, but it didn't charge. None of the computers would take a charge. So I took it back and I had to fill out a complaint, and that's one of the most expensive parts of the computer. And my mom said she's not paying anything. That's when I got home. So then my mom wanted me to go with her to go get a friend, and I said I don't want to. I have work to do, so I want to go home and stay. So she said no. We argued for about a good 5 minutes. And Then she snapped. She said she was gonna call the police, and she said she already did. She said, who do you think that first call was to? And she said it was the police, but I knew it wasn't, because she wouldn't do that, because I know it wasn't, because I went to my school and I went to talk to my assistant principal, because he's like the only person I can really trust in this. So I went to talk to him, and he told me that my mom never called the police. So she lied to me to get me scared, and she locked me out of the house. So right now I'm outside. Yep, the house is locked. It is 3:30. I haven't ate anything, and I still haven't even got to get my work done. My mom's gone. She won't answer the phone. So right now I'm alone. I wish I was at my friend's, but my mom told me if I'm not here when she gets back, there are going to be consequences. So I'm hoping nothing bad happens. But I'm still gonna stay on until my mom gets back. But guys, this is a very serious one. I'm not even gonna ask for likes and subscribes. I just want you guys to wish me good luck, because the future could hold bad things for me. I don't want to find out what that could mean.
Now, similar to the Kelli Stapleton channel from earlier, this is yet another example of a mother not understanding their child's unique needs. Harley Dilly had ADHD and was a high-functioning autist, both of which are conditions which can lead to outbursts or actions that Harley may have little to no control over. Harley's mother didn't seem to take the time and care needed for this, however, instead punishing her child even so much as to calling the police on him when he was only 10 years old at one point. All of this is already sad and unsettling enough. However, these aren't the reasons this channel is on the iceberg. The reason Harley Dilly's channel is on the iceberg is because on December 20th, 2019, the 14-year-old Harley Dilly went missing. The day before, Harley told his mom that he had an upset stomach and asked her if he could stay home from school. His mom would not allow this, however, and told him to, quote, get your ass to school. So, Harley left the house to walk to school, since his parents didn't even drive him there, by the way. And that, unfortunately, was the last time they ever saw their son alive. After an extensive search and an entire community coming together to try and find Harley Dilly, his remains were eventually found in a chimney of a house across the street of his own home on January 13th. According to the police investigation, it seemed as though Harley had climbed down the chimney in an attempt to stay in the abandoned house, perhaps upset his parents for making him go to school while he was sick, or an episode which he had little control over. It's hard to say exactly why he did this. However, he ultimately got stuck on the way down and sadly died, suffocating in the cold in a body-crushing space. It's the stuff of nightmares, especially if you're claustrophobic. And what makes it all the more tragic and infuriating is the fact that had his parents allowed him to have a sick day, this might not have ever happened. But also, there is the fact that both parents apparently didn't report him missing until the following day, after the school day being over, and him never coming home that night, meaning they literally went to sleep that night while their child was suffocating to death just across the street. Which was perhaps inevitable at this point, because it did take them a long time to find him, but the fact that they didn't even report it until the following day shows a serious lack of care. All the same though, Harley Dilly's channel remains as a tragic memorial to the abusive life and the untimely death of someone who deserved better and passed before they ever had the chance at a life outside their circumstances. Comtest 1. Comtest was supposedly a YouTube channel that predates Jawed, the first YouTube channel ever made. According to what we know, Comtest was the first account ever created on YouTube and was created most likely by Jod as a test of YouTube's video uploading capabilities. It was brought into public attention by YouTuber The Tekkit Realm in August 2020. Albeit already out in the public, he made it a much more popular discussion. Now, if you're wondering how people found out about this account, apparently people found it through looking through all the crawl dates with Webcrawler, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super familiar how that exactly works, but there were several people to back it up. Now the thing is, since only the original founders of YouTube owned the channel, it is impossible for Google to know if this channel is real or not, leading people to speculate if it was a hoax. There are some other inconsistencies with the story as well, making the whole thing feel a lot more like an internet myth than anything else, but still, it is a possibility. MeiAIDS Hack of 2009. On Christmas Day 2009, YouTube was hacked by a person named MeiAIDS. The hack consisted of changing thumbnails of videos from popular YouTubers and YouTube poopers. Allegedly, the video of MeiAIDS performing the hack was also uploaded to YouTube around this time frame, though it has apparently been lost to time since then. As YouTuber Imp Lemon points out in his video on the subject, MeiAIDS was a pooper, or someone who makes YouTube poops, at the time, which were at the height of their popularity around then. He was also a bit of an agent of chaos, and a massive troll wherever he went. While there isn't much more to this event than that, besides one of, if not the biggest trolling event YouTube as a platform has ever seen by one single individual, what is interesting beyond that though is the fact that many have since forgotten this massive YouTube event happened. I mean, imagine if one guy managed to hack all of YouTube today. It would be news everywhere. But back then, you kind of had to be there in the moment to know about it, despite it being one of the biggest hacking events that had ever happened in the website's history. If it weren't for documented screenshots, footage, and those who were there in the moment to remember it, it could just as easily be seen as a strange myth or internet urban legend, which really makes you think. PlasmaMasterDon. PlasmaMasterDon is a channel run by Donzel Edward Don Owens Jr. Since 2012, Don has been making videos that chiefly amount to music covers, him singing songs with his unique voice, and most people enjoying it, many citing it as endearing YouTube content. However, on December 11th, 2020, YouTuber Nick Crowley published a video bringing to light the fact that PlasmaMasterDon might be a recently registered. This info originally came from the r/morbid reality subreddit. The post on the subreddit linked two sex offender registry sites, both showing a person named Donzel Edward Owens, a 73-year-old man from Ohio who got arrested on August 19th, 2019 for sexual imposition. His victim was an underage boy. He allegedly grabbed the boy's genitals against his will. After researching more into it, it was all but confirmed that these two Dons were one and the same. Thus the guy who so many had been watching for years for his lighthearted and endearing little song covers was actually a depraved monster. 4 days after the post on r/morbid reality was posted, PlasmaMasterDon announced on October 14th, 2020 that his health was hindering his singing abilities and that he would likely step away from YouTube. Now I wonder why. Since then, PlasmaMasterDon allegedly passed away on December 21st of 2020 due to a lengthy illness, though it seems this is not 100% confirmed as of yet. Either way, I'd say it's a safe assumption that we won't be seeing any more of Don in the future. 14/? Gameplay. Oh boy, so this one took some digging to find more info on it. So first, some gameplay. This is footage from a game titled 14/?, which was an experimental abstract RPG Maker game that the author sort of lent out to friends to play, but overall had very little circulation and was extremely difficult to find a download of. It's essentially just a rare obscure RPG Maker game, a pretty cool one with quite a backstory, but yeah, that's about it. Speaking of obscure games though, Schnell online gameplay. On September 4th, 2018, a user on 4chan posted the following, quote, "Hi X, I was recently on one of those conspiracy iceberg threads and I came across a user mentioning a game based on the dark web called Schnell Online. This game is supposedly used by terrorists and on the darknet. The user provided a screenshot of the game and this image has no other appearances online. Check through reverse image search. The screenshot provides a clear net link. Proceeding to this link will take you to a basic web page with a download link for a game called Kcriss, also referred to in the screenshot. It is 14 megabytes and I'm too spooked to download. Any of you losers want to give it a shot?" Unquote. What followed was several users trying out the game and taking screenshots of it as they went. It was undoubtedly weird, but not too creepy from what people found. After another thread was made, it seems the game is just an indie game though, that people sort of spun a mythos around from what they found. Here's some gameplay of it. Again, very interesting though. You know, as someone who has a couple of friends who have made some independent games by themselves and definitely are rare, I guess, by internet standards, I can completely see how these things can be made and, you know, just not really get out there, but people somehow find out about it. All the same, fairly interesting topic. Artemy Lebedev. Now, on the iceberg itself, this entry will look like this. It's Russian, and let me tell you, this fact alone made research for this entry a real hassle. It's also for this reason that everything I'm going to read off and infer from this section has the potential to be somewhat incorrect, and maybe some details or nuances I'll get wrong, but I think I have a pretty good grasp of the overall reason it's on the iceberg. But with that said, let's dive into it and see what I found. Artemy Lebedev is a Russian designer, inventor, entrepreneur, blogger, traveler, and author of Kodvotstva, I think is how you pronounce that. It translates into manhood, a web design guide. He's also the founder and co-owner of several companies and studios and is the representative of shareholders in SUP Media, a media company headquartered in Moscow that became widely known after the acquisition of the site LiveJournal.com from Sixapart, an American software company. Needless to say, the dude has his hands in many pots and projects and seems to be a major celebrity in Russia. He also has a YouTube channel which I must say is quite strange, notably because he will often use South Park or Minecraft character avatar type things of himself to present his show. It seems like the show in general is a news show and one that talks about America and other countries, politics, technology, and stuff like that based on the titles of the videos. But as for the contents there within, I unfortunately hit a roadblock as they are all of course in Russian. And they're also like 30 to 40 minutes each, so I really feel as though I'm not getting a full grasp of everything he's talking about. Although I do notice many of his videos videos have a pretty bad like to dislike ratio, but again, I couldn't tell you why. Though I have a theory for why, based not on the content of his videos itself, and more general info about Lebedev I have discovered. On January 25th, 2017, Lebedev and Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, I believe is how you pronounce that, both met for a debate live on TV. Before the official debate happened, the confrontation was made ready by Lebedev's post on Facebook, in which he criticized the Anti-Corruption Foundation and his requests to the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service. Now, if you're a little lost, let me explain what some of this stuff is. The Anti-Corruption Foundation is a non-profit organization created by Alexei in 2011. The primary goal of the foundation is the investigation and disclosure of corruption, schemes, and suppression of news of said corruption in the highest bodies of the Russian government. In other words, they are dedicated to shining lights of the Russian government's shady dealings and exploitation. So Lebedev and Alexei debated. Lebedev apparently admitted defeat, citing that he had little experience in debate of this kind, despite being the one to invite the debate to begin with. And yeah, if it's not clear, it seems Lebedev is kind of a shill for the Russian government, which is already well known for being extremely corrupt, ergo, he too is also corrupt, to the point of actively opposing the foundation dedicated to fighting corruption in their government. I feel like I've said corruption way too many times in the span of a few minutes. Now again, the nuances of this may be deeper than this, but this is the info I was able to gather together. If any of my subscribers are Russian and know more about this and are willing to watch this guy's videos and describe a better feel for what he's like on YouTube, as well as any other information you know about him or this whole debate that happened, then please let me know. As far as I know, he's mainly on this iceberg due to him being a Russian government darling, but there could be even more if I knew what he was saying in the YouTube videos. And speaking of government corruption, we're about to get to an even worse case of that. But before we start talking about the Chinese Communist Party, perhaps it's best we cut to an ad break. Kcriss Li. This is one of the darkest channels on this iceberg, and not because it holds a creepy ARG, not because its owner did anything wrong, but rather because of the dark dystopian reality it reveals to all who take enough care to see it. We are all very much aware of the virus that came to define 2020. Most of you are all but hyper aware of it, and perhaps even more so for how your community, how stores, how your government, all these things and systems reacted to it. But with all the craziness that had gone on between then and now, you might have forgotten that back in early 2020 things were quite different. Back when COVID-19 was only in China, specifically in the city of Wuhan. I remember at the time there was conflicting opinions over how bad this outbreak was, but due to our only real statistics and info coming from China's government, most were keen enough to know that they were not exactly to be trusted, and they were hiding the truth as to how bad the virus really was. However, to what extent, only someone on the inside could know. Enter freelance journalist Li Zuha. During the start of this pandemic in China, Li resigned from CCTV and found a way to get into Wuhan, hoping to trace missing journalist Shen Qishi, a Chinese lawyer, activist, and citizen journalist who covered the 2019-2020 Hong Kong protests, and the pandemic, which included criticism of the government's response. He went missing on February 6, 2020, after reporting on the coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan, something which many suspected was enough for him to be detained by the Chinese government. Once Li found his way into Wuhan, in the following days he used his vlog to report on the pandemic and everyone involved there. which you can watch on Kcriss Li's YouTube channel. He revealed to the public through these videos that the Chinese government was censoring information about the pandemic and had full control over the media in that area, to the point that they were only allowed to report on good things in the area and were not allowed to showcase how many people were suffering in said area. Li was able to give a far clearer picture of what was going on over there. What he was doing was brave and imperative for the sake of the entire world. After all, no one knew just how deadly this virus was going to be. But his government didn't appreciate him telling the truth. In fact, he was now an enemy of the Chinese Communist Party. This would lead to a terrible final result. On February 26, Li had an unmarked car drive up beside him, the people inside telling him to stop now and get out of the car. Li instead sped off and made a 30-second video titled SOS from his car while being pursued by said car. When Li got back to his hotel room, he started streaming in a pitch black room, the stream lasting over 3 hours, with Li almost in total silence as multiple police officers knocked on his hotel room door to apprehend him. In the end, Li finally opened the door and surrendered. That was the last video from Li for months. Many had assumed that the government had killed him or even tortured him for going against them, and it seemed that the latter might be true, as after 2 months of no one having heard from him, on April 22nd, 2020, Li would post one final video to his channel, with English subtitles included no less. In this haunting video, Li claims he was escorted on February 26 to the police station and was under investigation for disrupting public order. Additionally, police detained and quarantined him, citing his visits to sensitive epidemic areas. Li's quarantine was at first in Wuhan and later moved to his hometown. Li stated that he had been treated well by the police during the detention and that he had been released on the 28th of March. Li seemed to also be siding with the government, and his tone was completely different from everything else that he had seemed to stand for. If you hadn't already guessed yet, this video was not made by Li, but rather was made by the CCP, with Li acting as a face for it. Li was forced to make this video, and while we can't 100% confirm this, you would have to be completely ignorant of all logic to not see the writing on the wall here. Once Li was detained, who knows what horrors he might have went through, what threats were made on him or his family. This is a video of a man who resisted his totalitarian regime and was punished and broken for it. This video, this story, is a dark reminder of just how scary the reality of living under a totalitarian communist regime actually is. It's a reminder of why those who stand up against them are so brave, and why we should also take it as a warning for just how dangerous an unchecked government can be. 00390. 00390 is one of the creepier horror channels on YouTube, mostly due to a couple of factors that at first glance could fool you into believing that he's actually a kidnapper slash serial killer. The channel is a combination of weird slash disturbingly edited videos, camera footage of random women on the street, which seem to be from this POV of a man stalking them, women locked up in very disturbing videos, and cooking videos which heavily imply that the creator of the channel is stalking women, kidnapping them, torturing them, killing them, and then eating them. Quite the wombo combo. So allow me to showcase to you some of his creepiest pieces.
Questa è una prova. Stiamo vedendo ciò che voi vedete. Vi daremo delle notizie. Dovrete fare quello che vi dicono. Non tutto quello che vedete è come sembra.
Got a good taste? Excellent. It should be noted that this channel is ultimately just an ARG/art project of sorts. All the same though, it is still a good collection of scary videos that did manage to kinda creep me out watching them at night. However, for the next few videos, the next few entries, I want to warn you, the disturbing content is all too real. Roro-chan 1999/final stream. Roro-chan 1999 was a Japanese live streamer born in 1999. She began live streaming in 2012 when she was only 13 years old on FC2 and the Japanese video sharing service Nico Nico. Most of these live streams at the start showcased her playing the piano, singing, and interacting with her audience. Over time, however, she began to do more dangerous things, such as stand on the edge of her apartment roof, run out into open traffic, and other dangerous dares. Now, why a 13-year-old was allowed to live stream, I couldn't really tell you. Perhaps this, plus from what we understand about her personal life, that she was a lonely girl with very few friends or connections, was a sign of things to come. And unfortunately, things wouldn't end well for Roro-chan. Roro-chan often claimed that she wanted to become a legend on the internet, even if it meant that she died. On November 24th, 2013, Roro-chan would create her final live stream, one that has become infamous at this point. The live stream consists of her being in distress, approaching her apartment balcony, and well, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. Roro-chan had live streamed her to the encouragement of her audience to become an internet legend. She was only 14 years old. Back when this incident first occurred, it received little media coverage or widespread attention, beyond the local news station broadcasts covering the story as well as a few articles in the newspapers. It wasn't until 2019 when the Japanese rock band Shinshi Kamata-chan released an animated music video for their song Ruru Suicide Show as a tribute to Roro-chan that the story gained traction online. Since then, this tragic story has been shared around a fair bit, how someone who had their whole life ahead of them threw it all away in a second. It's hard to know what exactly was going through Roro-chan's mind at that time, though, judging by the live stream, it seems that she did regret it in the final moments before she passed, which is extremely soul-crushing. Zelda X Love 64. Zelda X Love 64, or Christina Victoria Grimmie, was an American YouTuber, singer, songwriter, and actress. Christina was mostly known for her covers of popular songs by artists such as Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, Christina Aguilera, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Bruno Mars, and many more. She also made a series titled Random Songs, where viewers would send in a random sentence, and Christina and her best friend Sarah Haplessful would create a song full of these sentences. At one point, Christina was the most subscribed to musician on all of YouTube, so she was a very big deal and had created quite the dedicated following around her music. Everything was going well for Christina until, on June 10th, 2016, Christina was announced dead after being shot while leaving Orlando's Live Plaza Theater at around 10:24 p.m. She was doing a meet and greet when a man approached her and shot her. Christina's brother tackled him, but the man, identified as Kevin James Loiblu, turned the gun on himself and killed himself. Kevin had an unhealthy obsession with Christina, to the point where he believed that she was his soulmate. He had even tried to make himself more physically attractive to her via weight loss, eye surgery, and hair plugs. However, this filthy individual seemed to have decided that if he can't have her, no one can, despite the two never having met before that point. What happened was a senseless crime, made even more tragic by the fact that Christina was only 22 at the time, and had built a career for herself and her whole life being ahead of her, only for it to be taken by a sick individual. Since then, the Grimmie family has created the Christina Grimmie Foundation in her honor. The foundation's goal is to support families who have lost loved ones to gun violence, or to support a family member who has breast cancer. Dreamer Heaven series. So, I want to preface this final entry on this tier by saying that I refuse to show any footage or audio of this video, and that I'm warning you right now to please not look it up, because this is a step above literally everything else I've shown you on this iceberg. And even thinking about the audio of this video makes me actually sick to my stomach. And while I will usually point you in the right direction to learn more about the content on here, I will not be doing so for this entry because to this day, it still haunts my soul. With all that being said, what is Dreamer Heaven? Well, it all started when a YouTube channel by the name of WorldCorp Enterprises connected to a website called worldcorps.org, which uploaded some unnerving videos titled Fatherhood and Each Day I Grow Some More, both of which features what appears to be a child screaming their lungs out in fear behind a glass door of sorts, while two men with flashlights sing a Caillou song and seem to be trying to scare the kid more. It's unbelievably disturbing already, but for many, they thought that this clip wasn't real, that it was perhaps part of an ARG that WorldCorp seemed to be creating, and that while very visceral and realistic sounding, that this was ultimately fake, just like so many other creepy channels and videos on YouTube and the internet at large. I mean, hell, these iceberg videos have certainly given you a good taste of that, but this time it wasn't an art project. It wasn't an ARG, it was real. As a user on 4chan's paranormal board noted, quote, "It's tampered, he's found on SilentDork." They show 2 minutes and 19 seconds of the video because at 3 minutes, they grab the camera, he has a plastic bag over his head, and the two men start. I couldn't watch anymore, but the original, or at least the link found on SilentDork, was 32 minutes and 9 seconds. Also, I'm surprised people are finding out about this now. This was from back in 2011, and maybe even before, but those screams, man, they never leave you, unquote. Quite a few channels like Rainbot and Scare Theater made videos analyzing the 2 minute and 19 second clip, trying to find something deeper within it or how it connects to an ARG or if it's real. And so for a bit, this footage was all around for people to watch. Hell, I remember watching it through their channels, completely unaware of what it was connected to. And let me tell ya, when Mutahar of Some Ordinary Gamers came out with his video talking about what that clip was actually from, I remember being completely chilled, horrified to my core. Rainbot and Scare Theater would later remove all videos associated with the clip, and the YouTube account associated with the clips was also terminated. I'll stop there, but hopefully I've quelled whatever curiosity you might have had over the video and its contents. The fact that there are individuals out there that would cause this much suffering to a child and then upload it online, and then someone else upload it to YouTube and pretend like it's part of some sort of spooky ARG or some shit is so frustrating. Words cannot describe how I feel about it. There's also the question of whether or not the WorldCorp Enterprises was actually the creators of the clip, since this apparently goes all the way back to 2011 at least, or if they just were fucking edgy pieces of shit that found the clip and decided to post some of it on YouTube. Who knows? But all the same, it's sickening. And that is it for this entry of the YouTube content iceberg. I want to apologize for the longer wait on this entry. It took me a while to research some of the topics on this one. Also, sorry for ending on such soul-crushing shit. I would do the whole "it's gonna get way worse next time," which it kind of is. But to play it up too much, I feel like would be very tacky after what I just described to you. We only have one more part in this series to go, so I hope that y'all are ready for it. And ready for the next things that I come out with after this series is over. I also want to thank you guys because holy fucking shit! Since the last video, we've now reached 10,000 subscribers. I want to gush for minutes on end about how thankful and excited I am about that here, but I'll be saving that for the upcoming 10K surprise thing that I've got cooking up. So look out for that. Also, I want to take this time to thank all of my wonderful patrons that I've gained since my last video. I think in the last one I said that I didn't have any patrons yet, but since then, I have gotten some very wonderful people supporting this channel, including my Night Critter Reishi, my Night Owlet Shelly Shutdown, and my primo Great Night Owls, the Far Out Farlam, the Mystifying Medusa's Hex, and the always good chi vibes Zen Garden Party. Thank you all for supporting me and the channel. I cannot thank you enough. It really does mean the world to me, especially with how fast things are moving with my channel right now. I feel so honored to be in the position I'm in and that things are only getting better from here on. So again, thank you. And if any of you fine ladies and gentlemen would like to join these gods amongst mortals, then check the link down below to find out more about my Patreon. Also, if you want some more updates on my videos and the like, you can go follow my Twitter account, which I don't post to super often, but hey, I do update you about videos and stuff. So if you want to know more about it outside of the YouTube community tab and more live updates and the like, go check my stuff out there. But until next time, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.